Hello, my name is John Pertwee. Welcome to Cinema of Strange. And in this strand we hope to try and talk about films that you're familiar with, films that you don't know, films that you do know and deeply love. And it's basically a pocket review of very, very interesting films that have come around and again just really don't get that much love on terrestrial TV. Now the reason that I say terrestrial TV is many moons ago, back when I had a luscious head of gloriously long hair. You can still see at the moment I actually have hair, but it's not really my own. I've been looking after it for a tribe of yak that live in a Tibetan monastery, and sadly there's no monks there anymore, but the yak have taken over, and what they do is every now and then they send me a clump of yak hair, and I've been growing it for them in some kind of transplant donor type of way. And so in fact that's what I've done. I've covered this little part of my scalp, as you can see here, in artificial yak hair, and this side here in real yak hair. So this is the real yak. What we hope to do is we hope to try and talk our way through as many individual different and interesting horror and sci-fi films. But many years ago, the BBC used to screen, and ITV as well, used to screen these old late night horror films, and amazingly as it may seem, they even had a special season of them. And so BBC Two, which are a season of classic science fiction films on a Saturday afternoon, sometimes a double bill. You imagine that, 2 films back to back in colour. And also you'd get this thing again on BBC Two called Movie Drama, which was hosted by the delightful Alex Cox, and in that you'd get a selection of films. Sometimes they'd just show one film. Alex Cox would talk about the producer and the behind-the-scenes stories and everything like that. It was an interesting insight into basically the world of cinema, which you'll never get to see or hear back in those days, because obviously there was no internet to go, oh yeah, the bloke who did this was born on the 24th of February 1903. So that was what it was, and that's what made Movie Drum certainly such essential viewing to a budding film fan such as myself when I was growing up. I've always been, in the words of certain people, a die-hard film buff, and I like to think that sometimes I've gone beyond the world of film buff and I've become a buffette, which I'm quite pleased about. It's taken me quite a while, and I've got a selection of sandwiches just off to my left here that I'm going to be dining in. But on tonight's film, and tonight's movie is this one here. This came out in 1982, and this is Creepshow, and it is one of the maddest films you will ever see in your life. Now, Creepshow came out originally on VHS, and this one's got released by Universal Pictures, and it's the special 2-discer. And the way that Creepshow works is it's a portmanteau of various and sundry short stories. Now, what portmanteau means is they specialised in these during the 1960s and 70s, and again, with films such as Dead of Night, they would take a selection of tales and have a covering story over like a story arc. This one manages to take the tale of a rather unfortunate boy whose dad is Stephen King. No, he's reading Stephen King, I do apologise. And he loves all the comics and the horror films and everything like that, and his dad finds out and snatches the comic from him, rips it up, throws it in the garbage, and turns out that the boy's kept the token to create the voodoo doll, and it goes on from there. But these tales in this particular film, you've got Father's Day, where a guy has been bumped off and comes back from the grave on the anniversary of his death. You've got The Lonesome Death of Jodie Verrill, where Stephen King finds some meteor on his land. A meteor crash lands, and he thinks he can make some fast bucks from the thing from outer space. Something to Tide You Over, which is my personal favourite, which features Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen at loggerheads. And there's another nursing home, Bida Weaver, that's just down the road, and they're basically talking about the one true love of their life, and it all turns particularly nasty. And The Crate, which has a marvellous creature from the mind of Tom Savini called Fluffy, which lives in a crate in a school, and you will find out when you've seen the film that Fluffy is indeed nothing but he's all fur and fangs. And of course, They're Creeping Up on You stars the marvellously dotty, eccentric actor called E.G. Marshall, who plays this character who hates bugs and tries to kill them, and has got this very, very clean atmosphere in his house, and is sealed into his room until hundreds of thousands of cockroaches somehow manage to crawl their way in through the woodwork and make his life a living hell. So if you hate bugs, skip the last one. But what Creepshow does manage to do is it manages to resurrect the marvellous glossy covers and realisation of the old comics, the EC comics, the Tales from the Crypt, and all that kind of thing. And it's a comic book writ large on celluloid. So Creepshow here comes in a marvellously snazzy slipcase, and 25 years later it's available as a great DVD. There's the little boy, there's the comic, and there's the Crypt Keeper staring in the window. The sequel, Creepshow 2, manages to kind of move on from this, but this film is a benchmark horror. And again, 1982 was a great year for all types of horror films. A whole slew of sci-fi and fantasy movies came out during 1982, so that is the year that this one was kind of born on an unsuspecting public. Creepshow, one of the best of the rest, and you need to see it as soon as you can. This is John Pertwee signing off from Cinema of Strange. I'll see you soon.